What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 5 Reunion Part 3. Let's get into it. So Reunion Part 3 starts off where Part 2 left off, which was the argument between Miss Betty and Mel. So Miss Betty was getting on Mel's case because whenever Mel was live tweeting during one of the episodes where Stormy was visiting her house, Mel had live tweeted saying that someone had come into her house and was secretly recording her. And because at the time that she was live tweeting this, they were showing the scene where Stormy was visiting her at her house. So everybody in her comments thought that she was referring to Stormy because of the timing of the tweet. And Mel never responded, didn't give any kind of explanation. She didn't try to clear it up to say, y'all got it wrong. It wasn't Stormy. So this is what got Miss Betty all worked up. And Mel acted like she had no idea that that's what the people were thinking. And so Miss Betty was like, well, didn't you read the comments underneath your tweet when you posted that tweet? So Miss Betty felt obviously very protective of her daughter, did not want people to have the wrong impression of her daughter. So she really got on Mel's case about that. Now, Mel was wrong. Okay, if Mel did not imply that it was Stormy, if that's not what she was implying, then Mel really should have addressed that publicly, and she should have made it clear and said, I was not referring to Stormy. It would have been perfect if she would have done that at the time that she had tweeted that, if she had read the comments, which I'm pretty sure she did read the comments, but I don't know why she didn't want to clear up Stormy's name, unless she really thought it was Stormy. I don't know. So if she didn't think it was Stormy, she should have said something right there and then, and she should have definitely said something after Stormy had brought it up to her and said, look, they are really getting at me. The people are really getting at me because you imply that I was the one that came into your house and was recording you. So she should have said something then, and she should have said it publicly. She should have posted something on her social media and been like, hey, sorry for the confusion. I was not implying that it was Stormy, but I understand why y'all thought that because of the timing of my tweet, but it was not Stormy. But she never did. So Mel was definitely wrong for that. I don't see how she could have defended herself for those actions if she really didn't think it was Stormy. Now, if she thought it was Stormy, that'd be something completely different. Miss Betty was right to get mad, to get upset with Mel, but when she brought in Martell into the mix, into her argument with Mel, that was just like, no, please don't do that, Miss Betty. But, she said something about their divorce. They've been divorced for 3 years, and I don't know what she said after that. I don't know if she was I don't know what she said, if the divorce was dragging on for 3 years or that y'all been divorced for 3 years, but y'all are still arguing. But I don't think that she should have gone below the belt. Leave Martell and the divorce and all of that out of it. Only direct what's making you upset, which was her damn tweet. So Mel really should have apologized. I don't know why she didn't. So when part 2 begins, they were still on the tail end of that argument. And then they also had brought Junior there on stage, which is the son of Miss Betty's sister and Stormy's cousin. So he really didn't have much to add other than he's no longer working for Stormy. He found a job somewhere else, which I think is a much better idea for him not to work right underneath Stormy, because of the fact that the sisters, their moms are just, going at it. So I think it just would have added more fuel to the fire if Junior had stayed working for Canvas. And I understand that Stormy and her cousin are good, but heaven forbid if Junior comes home and was like, man, I had a bad day at work today, which is what we all do, because his mom is going to flip out and, confront her sister. And so it's a good idea that he's no longer working for Canvas. Now, side note, Junior really reminded me of Lil Scrappy, minus the big white choppers. He really reminded me of Scrappy somehow. So Aunt Lisa, which is Miss Betty's sister, Stormy's aunt, she decided not to join the reunion for whatever reason. We don't know what the reason was, but in a way it probably was a good thing that she was not there, because if Lisa and Betty were on that stage together, y'all, it would have been a bloodbath. So Miss Betty says that she had tried to mend things with her sister. During the season, I didn't see her really doing that. I saw her trying to mend things in a really passive aggressive nature. So it wasn't to me like any kind of genuine mending. So I didn't really see that. If it happened, I don't remember. And I watched every episode. So I don't know what she was talking about when she said that she was trying to mend things with her sister. But maybe she did and I missed it. I don't know. And me being an only child, to see siblings go at it this viciously, it's really sad, because I feel like if I had a sibling, I would forgive them for any and everything. I feel like, but that's just me talking from an only child's point of view. So I really don't understand how sisters or brothers or siblings can hate each other so much and let that hate fester for years and years and years and years. And I know that siblings can do some really vicious things towards one another, but I mean, minus you killing my child or killing my parent, I don't think that there's anything that could be unforgivable when it comes to siblings. Moving on from there, the Fletcher. So, okay. By the way, the Fletchers looked really good. I liked what Nell had on. I liked what Chris had on. It might have been a little bit too flashy for my taste, but it looked good. They looked good together. So Nell initially said that she didn't even want to do the show because she did not want to expose any of her family issues, which is totally understandable. So initially she didn't even want to be on the show, which is the opposite of what I was thinking about Nell, because I thought Nell was probably the one that really pushed for them to have more of a role this season. I thought it was Nell, but Nell said that she really didn't even want to do the show, period. And I'm still like, the Fletchers need their own show because that whole family dynamic is like really, really interesting. And I'm not trying to make fodder or trying to like make light of their family issues, but it is interesting. And I think that while they're entertaining us, that might even be helping, teaching us a few things on how to deal with family conflict. I think. So they talk about the Fletchers not being part of the Black Business Expo. And Nell said that Tisha had promised her that they would be invited to the Black Expo. And Tisha admitted that yes, she did invite Chris. She said that she never had a conversation with Nell, but she did talk to Chris and that she had invited Chris to the Black Expo, but then she said it slipped her mind. So Tisha, what that shows is that, yeah, you are not a good business person, because your Black Expo was a really big deal to you. And you thought that this was your time to shine and to prove to the world that you can do things on Melody's level, that you can, coordinate this huge business event that was supposed to give back to the community, bring exposure to small businesses, to small Black businesses. And so for you to be like, oh, but it slipped my mind. How could that slip your mind? You need to be constantly aware of who's going to be on your roster, the people that you've invited, the businesses that you've contacted. You need to be on top of all of that. But just like you're not on top of what the hell's going on with your website, you also are not on top of this either, because how do you let it slip your mind that you had invited the Fletchers, who are part of the cast, who are friends of the people of this cast, but then you completely forgot about them when it came to closing the deal or whatever. So Tisha said that she says her second excuse was that I was really concentrated on making sure that the core six were there, which is the comeback group. And then Fletcher was like, okay, but Stormy's not part of the core six, but you invited her. So what's tea? And, oh, but I knew that Stormy had her own bit. She really didn't give an answer to that. All she said was, well, I knew that she had her own business. It just doesn't make any sense that you would invite Stormy, who is the newest member on the cast, and someone that you really don't even get along with, but you completely forgot that you had invited Chris Fletcher of all people. I mean, like, how does that even happen? Tisha, you're just, anyways. So Marsau then says, well, I was talking, because, during the season, Marsau had made it seem like he had no idea that the Fletchers had their own businesses. I don't even know these people. And I even knew that they had their own businesses because I watched the show and we've seen Chris do real estate deals with Martell and whoever else. But of course, during the show or during the season, Marsau acted like he had no idea that he had no idea that Nell had a daycare. That's what it was. He had no idea that Nell Martell had a daycare. But he claims that he had a conversation with Chris, and Chris was talking about his cleaning business that Marsau was not aware of. And so on the reunion, Marsau says, well, I think Chris is sexist because he didn't even talk about his wife's daycare business. He just talked about his own business. What was the point of saying that? I mean, is that just to solidify that your wife was, absent-minded, that she forgot to invite them, and you're just trying to like justify why they weren't invited? Like, I don't understand what was the point of even bringing that up. You claiming that he was a sexist, and you calling him a sexist is the pot calling the kettle black. Because if anybody can recognize a sexist and know what a sexist is, and has expertise on sexism, it's definitely you, Marsau. Because the way you treat your wife, you just want her barefoot and pregnant and stuck in the house all day, cooking and cleaning for you. So when he says, well, he didn't even mention that his wife had a daycare business, that's deflection. Number one, you're trying to deflect the issue that y'all made a huge blunder by not inviting the Fletchers to the Black Expo. So, moving on from there. So Tisha says, okay, so then the question was, why was it, Carlos King asked Tisha, why was it important for you to ask the Fletchers about infidelity? And Tisha says, well, I'm a very direct person I'm very direct when I want to know about things. That was her answer. Like, she really didn't answer. And so Carlos King asked Nell, how did you find out about Chris cheating? And Nell says that she found out from a third party, but it wasn't the other woman. And she confronted Chris about it. At first, Chris lied, but eventually, she stayed on him until he told the truth. And it led to them being separated for 18 months. And then the question was, why did y'all, what brought y'all back together if y'all were separated for 18 months? And Nell was like, love, I love this man. So I forgave him and I took him back. And because of what they had gone through with infidelity, they felt like that they were in the proper position to counsel Mel and Martell about their issues and their infidelity issues. And so, we get to hear them talk about how they were counseling them. They would be talking to them up into the wee hours of the morning, trying to give them as much advice as possible, because the Fletchers wanted the Holts to succeed. They wanted their marriage to succeed, and they wanted them to stay together. And Melody attested to that. She was like, yes, they did a great job in helping counsel us, and they were really there for us. And then we got a lot of support from the Fletchers. And then I liked how Nell said she saw a lot of Chris and Martell. And so then Carlos King wanted to know more. Like, what do you mean you saw a lot of Chris in Martell? And Nell said, because Martell was really arrogant. And that's how Chris used to be. He's not like that anymore, she said, thank God. But he used to be extremely arrogant. And that arrogance, she says that they try to tell Martell that arrogance is what's going to destroy your marriage. And that's 1,000% correct. It is that damn big-headed arrogance of his that has landed him to where he is now. Letting the best thing that ever happened to him go. Because he was so defiant, so defensive, so arrogant, so cocky during that whole entire time when his infidelity with what's her name, the mother of his last child, when that was exposed all over the place. He was so cocky about it. He wasn't apologetic. He wasn't sorry. He was so defensive about that. And yeah, Melody couldn't put up with that anymore. And so yeah, I totally believe that arrogance was his downfall. So then they talk about the damn Houston trip. So Carlos King asked Martell about the random that he brought back to the Fletchers' house, their vacation house. And of course, Martell lied about that. I don't want to spend too much time on that, that silliness about his lie about how she just came. It was a masseuse who came there to give him a massage, and it wasn't what we all saw that it was. Whatever. So then they talk about Melody cheating, because once again, Martell has to bring. So when he was, trying to say that this random woman was a masseuse that he had brought back to the house, and she was only there to give him a massage, he said, well, how come? Because Nell said it was really disrespectful for you to bring a stranger back to our home, our vacation home. It was disrespectful. So Martell was like, well, was it disrespectful that Melody did the same thing? I brought a masseuse. She brought a masseuse. So are you going to get on her case about that? This is the kind of stupidity that will keep Martell down. This kind of stupidity is what's going to keep him down. I don't know if this man was trying to be funny. I don't know if he was trying to be smart, but the way he was talking, once again, his voice was getting loud when he was talking to Nell. So the way he was talking to Nell about this and the way he got so damn defensive, I don't know if this was a show, an act, or if he was really serious about the things that he was saying, and it was just stupid. It just, everything has to be, well, you didn't do this. Well, Melody didn't do it either. Martell, you didn't take out the trash. Well, Melody, did you ask her if she took out the trash in her house? It's just like everything has to lead back to Melody because you are still in love with this woman. You are still head over heels in love with her, and you absolutely regret the fact that you lost her. And this woman stays on your mind. She is your Roman Empire. She stays on your mind 24/7. And I just feel sorry for any other woman, Martell, that you're going to get involved with, because nobody is going to replace Melody in your eyes. Okay, moving on. So then Carlos King says, Chris, why did you allow Martell to talk to Nell? So remember that scene during the season? I think it was Martell came over to the Fletcher's house to drop something off. Was it wine? I think he dropped a case of wine or a bottle of wine. And that's when him and Nell got into it about Melody cheating. Somehow or another, they got on the subject of, his infidelity. And he was like, why don't you ever ask Mel when she cheated on me? You don't ask her about that. You're always asking Martell, why did you cheat? Why did you cheat? Did you ask Mel about her cheating? And so he was really completely out of line with how he talked to Nell. 100%. And so the question was, why does Chris, not even that part, but also at the vacation home when they were in Houston, I forgot that they were really referring to the Houston scene where, they talking about Melody and Martell and their cheating and all of that. And, he was yelling at Nell in front of all of them. He was yelling at Nell, why don't you ask Melody if she cheated? And Chris was right there when he was yelling at his wife like that. And so Carlos King was like, Chris, why didn't you stop him? And Chris's answer was, when they get like that, it's like brother and sister fighting. So I stay out of it because, we're all friends and, we're like brothers and sisters. And so it's just like brother and sister fighting. I don't understand why Chris would not have, any other man on that show would have stepped up to Martell and would have been like, you need to back the hell off of my damn wife. I don't know what the hell you think is going on here. But he doesn't, and he didn't. And I don't understand why he didn't. I mean, he doesn't have to put his hands on Martell. It doesn't have to get physical. All he has to do is just tell him, look, Martell, don't talk to my wife like that. Lower your damn voice. You lost your damn mind. But he didn't. So moving on from there, Carlos King says, do you think that he asks Martell, do you think that you owe Nell an apology for how you talked to her? Once again, his arrogance steps in and he's like, we owe each other an apology. What the hell does she have to apologize to you for? So eventually he does apologize, but then it's an apology that came with a caveat. Well, she just needs to learn that she can't overstep her boundaries. As a woman, she can't overstep her boundaries. And when he said that, Marsau says, and then play the woman card. The men on this show are absolutely insufferable. They are so sexist. All of these men, every single last one of them are sexist. I don't know about Courtney. All of them are. Marsau, Martell, Maurice. I don't know about Chris either too much, but these three main men, all of them are just so sexist. And these women, except for Melody because she left her problem, but Kimmy and Letitia, they love defending these men. Moving on. So Martell was basically like, oh yeah, but she, as a woman, she needs to know how to address a man and And Marsau, co-signs to this nonsense. So, okay, moving on from there. So they talk about Kiki and her showing up in Houston. Kiki said that she really came there to apologize to Letitia. Kiki, come on, girl. Girl, stop. No, ma'am. We're not going to let you get away with that. You did not come there to apologize to nobody. You came there because you felt like you were being left out. You wanted to be a part of the damn group. And maybe you wanted to stir some more mess with your cousin. You didn't come there to apologize. So I apologize for throwing the drink if I didn't mention that. So Tisha said that she is done with Kiki because they asked about, the possibly reconciling and and she was like, nope. Letitia's like, nope, I'm not. I'm done with her. I'm through with her. She's done too much to me. I have no interest in reconciling with her. Carlos King then says, Kiki, did you choose the show over your cousin? And so then Kiki talks about how initially Letitia was supposed to bring her on the show, but she changed her mind. And so then I guess that's when Melody stepped in and brought her on. So Letitia said that the reason why, well, first she says, I didn't change my mind, but she did. But she says she didn't want to bring she didn't want to bring Kiki on the show because Kiki was going through a lot with her issues. I guess infidelity in her marriage and her drug abuse with prescription medication. So Letitia acted like she was trying to protect her cousin because she was like, I didn't want her to come on the show and all this stuff about her gets exposed on television, on national TV. So that's why, I changed my mind about it. And Kiki was like, I had nothing to hide. Like, you still could have brought me on because I had nothing to hide about my life. She says everything that, was problematic about my life or controversial about my life, it's all out there, which was an infidelity and her using prescription medication. So then Martell, as messy as he is, he steps in and he's like, well, Marsau said there was also something else, which Marsau never said what it was. But during one of the breaks, we find out. Okay, let me back up. So when Kiki was like, I've exposed everything there is to expose about my life. And then Martell says, well, Marsau says there's one other thing that that was not talked about or that was not exposed. So then Kiki tells Marsau, what is it? What do you got to say? What did I leave out? Come on. And so Kiki said that she does want to reconcile with Letitia. And Letitia was like, hell no. You wanted me to divorce my husband. And so then they talk about how the people that have truly suffered are the children, because Kiki's kids and Letitia's kids are close as cousins. And so they have really suffered because of what their moms are, the beef that their moms are having. And then Letitia said that, whenever they try to make arrangements for the kids to get together, Kiki comes up with an excuse of why, she doesn't want to, why her kids can't participate. And then Letitia goes even further to say that Kiki blocked Letitia's daughter's phone number from her own daughter's phone. And when she said that, Kiki went berserk. She was like, I would never do that. I did not do that. I don't even care. To tell you the truth, as a viewer, I don't care, because it's like all this stuff that goes on off camera and it becomes a he said, she said, she said, she said type of situation. What are we to do as the viewer except to watch y'all argue about it? We don't have anything to say about that. It didn't play out on the cameras. We didn't see anything. So she says one thing, you say something else. All you're going to do is argue about it. So let's just move on. Carlos King, cut it short. He interrupted Kiki. He was like, Kiki, let's not even go there because we don't want to involve children in this, stupid, messy situation. So moving on from there, they talk about Letitia's pregnancy test. So the Carlos King was like, well, why did you think you were even pregnant knowing that your husband got snipped? And she said she had pregnancy symptoms. And so then Tisha said, if I was even cheating on him, I wouldn't even tell him that I thought that I was pregnant if I was cheating on him. Which to me, that makes sense. Okay. If you're out there creeping and doing wrong and you think you might be pregnant, you're not going to come to your husband. You're going to try to figure it out on your own first before you reveal anything to him. You're not going to come and tell your husband who had a vasectomy that you think you might be pregnant if you were out there creeping. So that just proves that she wasn't creeping. We all know that Tisha would never cheat on Marsau. We know that because she is so loyal to that, that idiot. She's so loyal to him that she would never do that. She could be offered, there could be, she could be offered $1 gazillion and she's not leaving this man for nothing. So Carlos King was like, when she told you that there was so he asks Marsau, when she told you, was there a thought in your mind that she had stepped out on you? And Marsau was like, well, that was the only thought in my mind. So then Carlos King says, do you think that she's capable of stepping out on you? And Marsau was like, yes, absolutely. Then he starts his mumbo jumbo, his Marsau double talk, where he thinks he's being really scientific and very analytical, and he thinks that he's the smartest person in the room, when he starts talking about capability versus probability versus the circumference of X. And so he says, is she capable? Yes, as in anybody is capable of doing anything. But what is the probability of Letitia stepping out on me? And he was like, the probability is no. There is no probability of her stepping out on me, but there is a capability. So he does that whole stupid like, why can't you just be simple? Just be simple. Okay, you could use all of your professor analytics on somebody else, but when it comes to your wife and your marriage, why can't you just say, no, I don't think that my wife would ever cheat on me. That's not the kind of woman that she is. Why can't you just do that? I don't understand. I don't get it. You know, you think you're being so smart and so damn clever, but you're coming off as cold and distant and mean and unsupportive, because this woman, until she catches you in the act of cheating, she will defend you and stand by you till death. That's how loyal she is. And she will prove her loyalty until she's blue in the face. But when it comes to him proving his loyalty to her, he's absent. He's MIA. He's playing word games. Why can't you give her the same unconditional loyalty that she's giving you? This is your wife. She's not some Joe Blow. She's not some internet troll. She's not Miss Wanda. She's not Melody. She's not nobody. She is your wife, the mother of your children. And this is when you should just be simple and concise and succinct and just say, this woman sitting next to me, this beautiful woman here, would never, ever do that to me. Just say that. Where the hell am I? So then he gives this example of then he gives this example. We're still in, Professor Marsau's physics class. Then he gives this example, if somebody accused me of fathering their child and asked me to do a DNA test, I wouldn't take it because the possibility would be zero that I could be the father. But she took a test, meaning that there was a possibility that she could have been pregnant. I'm not capable of having children. So it wasn't possible for me to get her pregnant. So why would she even take a test? All that means is that she got pregnant by someone who can possibly get her pregnant, who can possibly make babies. And that's not me. Okay. If you want to go textbook, analytical, scientific, yes. Okay. Yes. But then Tisha is coming from the mindset of vasectomies can fail because she has experienced in her life where a vasectomy failed. Okay, because she talks about some friend of hers who had gotten pregnant after their husband had a vasectomy. So, and she's coming from the mindset of vasectomy can fail. Now, I don't know if she understands time frames when it comes to vasectomies, because from what I read, the longer you are, the more time that has passed since you had the procedure done, the less likely you are to conceive a child. It's like 1% or less or something like that. So I don't know, because, I was always waiting for Tisha to tell us, oh, yeah, my friend got pregnant by her husband. But how long after he got the vasectomy did she get pregnant? Was it the day after he had the surgery, or was it 10 years later? So from her mindset, she's coming from, vasectomies can fail. That's why I thought I was pregnant by my own husband. His mindset is, this is a surefire procedure. There's no way in hell that I can impregnate anybody. So yeah. Okay. This is why I feel like, Tisha should have stood up for herself more at the reunion. Because during the season, she did talk about, vasectomies failing, and I know some blah, blah, blah. But at the reunion, she didn't say that. So she should have brought that up more during the reunion. And she should have said, okay, but look, if you read your literature, Professor Marsau, Professor Scott, you would see that there have been instances where vasectomies have failed. Okay, it is a possibility, but she didn't say any of that. So then Mel asked if Letitia would have left. No, she asked Marsau, would you have left her if she was pregnant? And Marsau said yes. So then Carlos King said, if Tisha did cheat on you or did step out on you, would she have the right to do so? Then here comes Pick Me Kimmy. Kimmy was like, well, first of all, before we get to Pick Me Kimmy, when Carlos asked that question, if Letitia would have cheated on Marsau, would she have the right to do so? Mel said yes. Mel was like, tit for tat. What's good for the gander is good for the goose. Kimmy got offended, like as if this question was directed towards her. So she asked Carlos King, she was like, why would you even say that? And so Carlos King was like, it's on my card. But because of the fact that people online, there's been these rumors circulating for years that Marsau had stepped out or cheated on Letitia. So the people out there in the internet world, they have said that if she had cheated, she would be within her right to do so because he's done that to her. And so then Kimmy was like, well, according to those people, then yeah, I guess the answer is yes, she would have the right to step out on him. Kimmy, that's what we're talking about, girl. That's what we're talking about. Oh, Kimmy, what has happened to you, girl? What the hell has happened to you? What has happened to you, Kimmy? You used to be like, I have to say, you used to be like the smartest woman on this show. But now, child, I mean, I don't know. I guess when you saw your husband's true colors, because you know what they say, that you don't really know a person until you've been through something with that person. You've been through something really difficult with that person, and you get to figure out exactly who they are and where they stand. So when she went through her cancer and he was talking about how she still has to do her wifely duties, doesn't matter how she's feeling or what the hell she's going through, she still got to satisfy me. That's when she became Pick Misha. I don't know why. It's like when you really are threatened with your husband possibly leaving you, that's when you become so damn desperate to make him stay. And I feel like she thought that if she didn't do what she needed to do to keep that man, he was going to leave her, because he said that sex is a need. It's a physical need for him. That's what he said. During the break, this is where Kiki was looking at Marsau from across the way, and she says to Marsau something about how, that thing that he refused to talk about her, that one thing that she refuses to, according to Marsau, that one other thing that she did not reveal about herself was his allegations that she used to be a streetwalker. I don't know why I'm laughing. That is just so bizarre. And so that's when, she called him a bitch and, whatever. She was like, that's not true. You're a bitch. And then here comes Letitia. She's thinking she's big and bad, right? The woman who got that drink thrown in her face. All of a sudden now she's, big and bad. And she was like, I dare you to cross this line over here. Girl, please. You don't want it, Letitia. You don't want it. And plus, if Kiki did try to cross that damn line, number one, there'd be about 25 security personnel to protect you, Letitia. And number two, I wouldn't be surprised if your husband started to mollywop on her. He seems like somebody who would try to hit a woman. Moving on. So at the end of all of that, they were taking a group picture. I just want to put this in at the end. So Carlos King, he gets up from the stage and he moves over or walks over to where the camera crew is, because he wants to get the group together for a group picture. Y'all, did y'all see how Melody was posing for that group picture? How she was giving face and body and posing? Oh my God, I loved it. I loved it so much. When she knew that it was time to take a picture, and this was for for the promotion of the reunion and promotion of the show, she got it all the way together. Come on, Mel. Loved it. Oh, by the way, let's talk about the Whitlows. The Whitlows, we don't need them. Carlos, stop opening up this damn door for Tiffany and Louis to come back, because we don't need them. We don't want them. Close that damn door in their face. Tiffany, kudos to you for, bringing up awareness for postpartum depression, but we don't need you. We don't need you and Louis back on this show. Carlos, don't you dare bring these people back. The only people that I want to see back, of course, is the original crew, minus any scenes with Mel and Martell together. That we don't need. And also the Fletchers, they have to come back. I don't mind Stormy and Courtney. I don't mind. A lot of people don't like Stormy. I don't mind Stormy and Courtney. And I would love to see Stormy and Courtney come back. Everybody except the damn Whitlows. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, please subscribe to my channel. And I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.